From choir to debate to theater, SDPB shines a spotlight on South Dakota's talented students through SDHSAA All-State Fine Arts programming. Good, useful, and full of wonder. SDPB. Every day, SDPB connects South Dakotans with stories that inform, inspire, and bring us together. SDPB, good, useful, and full of wonder.
All right, good morning, everyone. This is Chairman Steve Harding, and welcome to the March 26th, 2026 South Dakota Lottery Commission meeting. I'd like to just quickly start off here and introduce a new member to the commission, just very quickly. Commissioner Rory Lindsay from Madison, South Dakota. He's just confirmed by the legislature, and he is taking Commissioner Kafka's place. And so we welcome Roy to the commission. So welcome.
Thank you.
All right, then we'll go ahead and get started here, and Shauna, we'll start with the roll call. Would you please call the roll?
Good morning. Chair Donahue. Oh, sorry, Chair Harding.
Here.
Vice Chair Donahue.
Here.
Commissioner Hazinga.
Here.
Commissioner Rosem. And Commissioner Lindsay.
Here.
All right, thank you. We do have a quorum, and just for those of you listening, Commissioner Donahue is calling in remotely, and all the other commissioners are attending the meeting in Pierre. All right, then next item would be the approval of the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda? Anyway. All right, there's no changes to the agenda, so is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Move approval of the agenda.
Motion and a second. Motion and a second. We'll do a voice vote. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same
Aye.
sign. Motion carried. All right, taking a look at the minutes of December 11, 2025 meeting. Are there any changes or questions on the minutes? Hearing none, I would ask for a vote to approve the minutes of December 11, 2025.
Second.
Motion and a second. We'll do another voice vote here. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion carried. All right, then, do any of the commissioners have any conflict of interest on anything that's been on the agenda today? Now would be the time to bring that up. All right, hearing none, then there's no conflicts of interest, so we'll go ahead and get started then. The first item is the Department of Revenue comments, and Secretary Mike Howdyshell is here, so welcome, Mr. Secretary. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the Lottery Commission. My name is Mike Howdyshell. I'm the Cabinet Secretary at the Department of Revenue. Good to be here at the first meeting of the new year to talk about things that are going on at the Department of Revenue that may be of interest to the Lottery Commission. As you all know, we're getting to the tail end of the legislative session. Veto day is on Monday. So the legislature will be back for one more day. I think there's at least one veto that the legislature will be considering that the governor issued yesterday. I'm not sure if there's others to come, but there is at least some business to be done on veto day here coming up next week. But then the 101st legislative session will officially be closed at that point. It was a very busy legislative session. I'm sure you all kind of follow the news and what's going on up here at the Capitol during the legislative session. It was really kind of a historic session as far as, you know, some of the things that were passed, and I'll talk just briefly about those, and just the sheer volume of work that came before the legislature. I was looking at some statistics that we had put together. There were a total of 665 bills between the House and Senate that were introduced. That's the most since 1998. So just the bill volume was tremendous this year. You know, South Dakota's somewhat unique in, you know, as far as state legislatures go, where every single bill that's introduced has to have a hearing. That's not the case in other states. You know, you've heard of a pocket veto where the, you know, chair of a commission can basically determine whether or not a bill gets heard or not. That's not the case in South Dakota. Every bill gets a hearing. Thankfully, a few years ago, the legislature put in place a process where legislators can withdraw a bill before it gets set for a hearing. Prior to that process, even bills that they decided they didn't want to carry anymore, they would have to go through the formal process and table it in committee. But they can withdraw bills, and there were a lot of bills that were withdrawn this year. I believe it was somewhere around 100 bills were withdrawn for a variety of reasons, which helps with the workload. But still, it was a lot of bills, and the Department of Revenue, as always, was very involved with the legislative session. Internally, we had 145 of those 665 bills on our bill tracker that we were watching and involved with in some form or fashion, whether that was just kind of watching out of curiosity to see what happened with the bill, or we were actively engaged either supporting the bill or opposing the bill or working to amend the bill to make it better. In our view, we had 7 agency bills that we brought to the legislature this year, and 6 of the 7 passed, which is a good thing. The only one that died was a bill that we brought to allow the issuance of blackout license plates. So I think we've all seen those driving around probably on the interstate, other states, Iowa, Minnesota, Nebraska, North Dakota. Most of our neighbors have a blackout license plate, so we thought we would try to get that to be an option for our citizens, but the House didn't agree with us. No, I'm not bitter about it, but we'll try again next year, I guess, because I still think it's something that our citizens of South Dakota want as an option. We get questions about it all the time. Really kind of just some high-level comments on some of the main bills that passed that we were involved with. Obviously, property tax relief was the big issue that was discussed throughout session. There were around 50 bills that had to deal with property taxes, so a large percentage of the total, which kept us very busy, obviously. And at the end of the day, there were a couple of bills that passed, which I believe are going to provide meaningful property tax relief to homeowners in the state. The first was the governor's proposal, which was Senate Bill 96, and that bill allows counties to impose a county sales tax up to 0.5%, with the revenue that's generated from that county sales tax dedicated to owner-occupied property tax relief. It's not additional revenue for the county. They can't use it to spend on other programs. It has to directly go to lower owner-occupied property taxes. Again, it's optional. The county doesn't have to do this, but if they choose to do it, or if the voters in the county choose to bring it to a vote through the initiated ordinance process, they can do that. And then it'll be essentially identical to the state and the municipal sales tax. The Department of Revenue will administer it. We will collect the tax. We will revert that money back to the counties where that tax was imposed, and then the counties will use that to lower owner-occupied property taxes. So
Mr.
we think
Secretary,
that,
I have
yeah.
a question on that.
Sure.
And you kind of covered it there a little bit, but administratively collecting that, I mean, some counties don't, is that taking some revamping of things as far as internally, is tracking, who does, who doesn't, where it goes and things like that?
Yep, no, it's a good question, Mr. Chair. So, yeah, we'll have to account in our system and make sure that retailers are aware that, hey, in Hughes County, they have this local tax, but in Stanley County, they don't, for example. We provide boundary tables to retailers so they know if I sell something in Pierre, that the municipal tax for the city of Pierre is to be charged and collected and remitted to the department, and then that's coded on the return, so we know to get that money back to the city of Pierre. It'll be the same thing. If Hughes County does it, there'll be a special code just for Hughes County. So anytime that I buy something here in Pierre, that Hughes County tax will also apply, and that'll be reported to us so we know. So there's definitely administrative work that we have to do on our end, changes to our systems to make sure that we can do this. But mechanically, the tax will work essentially identically to the municipal sales tax.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Commissioner
Mr.
Lindsay?
Chairman, so in the Madison area and Lake County, the city of Madison collects taxes that are paid in the city of Madison. But if you're outside the city and that, the tax is not collected. So now will this be a new addition of, monitoring the entire county where sales are taking place?
Mr. Chair, yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
Commissioner Lindsay, absolutely. So if I'm a retailer now and I'm making sales whether it's inside the city limits of Madison or outside. If Lake County imposes this optional tax, then yeah, the retailers will have to know that they need to charge the half cent or whatever they choose to impose. It's up to a half cent, so they could do less if they want. But and then that's what the retailer would report to us on their return. Yep. Yep.
Okay.
So that was that was obviously a big a big win for the governor and his desire to provide homeowner property tax relief. This was an idea that kind of came up towards the tail end of session last year, but there wasn't really enough time to kind of fully vet it. But we spent a lot of time over the interim working on it, coming up with different scenarios of how this would work and what the impact would be if counties do this. So we think it would move the needle quite a bit for counties that decide to do this as far as providing owner-occupied tax relief. And then another proposal kind of came in conjunction with that passed as well, and that was Senate Bill 245. And what that bill did is it earmarks the increase in the sales tax that's set to go into effect in 2027. So if you remember, when the legislature lowered the sales tax in 2023 from 4.5% to 4.2%, they put a sunset provision on that reduction. It was a temporary reduction. And so the rate is set to go back up to 4.5% on July 1 of next year. So what 245 does is it takes that 0.3%, any additional revenue that's generated from that 0.3%, and it uses it to buy down the school levies for owner-occupied property. So it's essentially just putting more money into the state aid formula to provide more state assistance for our K through 12 schools, which in turn will lower the burden on homeowners as far as the property taxes that they pay for their local school districts. And if you combine both of those two proposals together, so I just looked at Hughes County, if you take a $325,000 house, if Hughes County does the optional county sales tax at 0.5%, that house would see a $855 reduction in their property tax bill is what we estimate. And then Senate Bill 245 with lowering the school levies, that's an additional $547 reduction. So that's a $1,400 reduction, or a 36% reduction in the total tax bill for that $325,000 house in Hughes County. I mean, that's significant. That's a large reduction in the property tax burden for that homeowner. There's going to be an additional sales tax, that person is going to be paying when they buy goods and services as well. But if you kind of do the math, you have to spend a lot on taxable goods and services to basically make that savings a wash. So at the end of the day, it will be a true tax cut for homeowners, both Senate Bill 96 and Senate Bill 245. So that was kind of the main legislative win, I think, on the property tax front. Obviously, that's been an ongoing discussion for a long time. Trying to figure out how to provide some tax relief for homeowners, and the legislature at the end of the day got those two bills across the finish line. The other one that I just want to talk about a little bit, again, it's a new program that the department has to implement, and it has to do with nicotine products. There was actually two different bills regarding the licensing of distributors and retailers of nicotine products. So when you think of nicotine products, you think of cigarettes and chewing tobacco, cigars, but this also would include like vape products, so your vape products that folks use, and what are called alternative nicotine products. So those are like your Zyn, those little pouches that seem to be really popular nowadays. They don't contain tobacco, so they're not regulated like tobacco currently. They don't fit the definition of a tobacco product, but these two bills would change that and bring them under the same regulation as tobacco products. And it would require the department to issue a new license to any retailer that sells a nicotine product. So whether they're selling cigarettes or cigars or vape products like the standalone vape shops that we see, or these Zins or other types of alternative nicotine products, those retailers are going to have a new license that the Department of Revenue issues. And they're going to be under some new kind of regulatory framework that we will be administering. So we are busy trying to figure out how to implement that. The legislature thankfully acknowledged that, you know, we don't just have unlimited resources at the department, so they did give us some FTE to be able to do that, and some seed money to get, you know, systems up and running and get a license process in place. This had a delayed effective date, so all these retailers will have to have this new license by January 1st. So we've got a lot of work to do in the next few months. I'm going to have to hire some folks on board to get kind of a licensing process in place. And then the bill also requires us to do some follow-up inspections of these businesses if they have violations of state law, if they sell to minors, those types of things. But that was kind of a big change. It's a new program for the department, and I just wanted to bring that to the commission's attention. I know there was a couple of things that kind of maybe more directly impacted the lottery, and I think you know, Director Lingle is going to talk about that in his remarks, so I will not steal your thunder on that, Norm. I'll let you talk about those things. But anyway, that's really kind of my overview of the session. You know, we are really busy during session, but as you can see kind of from my comments here, then the real work starts of implementing all these changes that the legislature gives to us. So we've already started that work as well, because some of the bills, you know, they go into effect on July 1, and we have to be ready to go with all these changes by then. Some of them had delayed effective dates, like I just mentioned on the nicotine one, of January 1, but a lot of work that we've got to get done, a lot of work that our friends at the BIT have to get done as well to make changes to our IT systems. But we're already off and running on that, and that'll keep us busy until, I suppose, next January when we start all over again with the legislature. But with that, Mr. Chair, I'll conclude my remarks. Just, you know, again, I wanted to personally welcome and thank Commissioner Lindsay for agreeing to join us here on the Lottery Commission. When I called Roy, you know, probably 2-3 months ago to just kind of, you know, test the waters and feel his temperature on this whole deal, and tell him what it was about, and said, hey, you know, you want to sleep on it? And he's like, nope, you know, I want to do it. So I appreciate his willingness to step up to the plate and serve, and thank all the other commissioners too, of course, for your commitment to public service and being on this commission. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, Mr. Secretary, thank you very much. Are there any questions of any of the commissioners for the secretary? I just have a comment on, you know, the nicotine, the whole process you just explained, that you are going to be busy to stand up a program like that again and hire some new people. You're going to be busy getting that in place. So just a little follow-up to that. How is the employment-wise? You know, I hear just from, you know, locally what the workforce is like and keeping people and things, you know, Department of Revenue wide, you know, statewide, what are you seeing?
Sure. Yeah, no, it's a good question, Mr. Chair. You know, we're fairly fortunate. We have relatively low turnover at the department. You know, there are some specific areas within the department that we have higher turnover than others, of course, just because of the nature of the positions, and some of those can be kind of hard to fill. You know, we have you know, looked to other solutions for some of those really hard to fill positions here in Pierre by asking the question, and I know, you know, Mr. Chair, as the mayor, you probably don't like to hear this, but does this job need to be in Pierre? Maybe we would have better luck hiring, you know, in Sioux Falls or Rapid City. So we've looked into a little bit of that as ways to help with recruitment and retention. But, you know, we're relatively, you know, insulated from a lot of the large turnover. And have been relatively successful to keep people here in Pierre and in our field offices. Kind of statewide, you know, I think we've kind of seen, you know, across state government, and I think maybe this is just kind of a trend in all sectors right now with kind of the nature of the economy and the job market, people are keeping their jobs. Like, they're not leaving because of the uncertainty with the employment market and those types of things. So I don't think that there really has been an issue kind of statewide. And in fact, when this time last year, when there was a lot of federal jobs that were being cut or eliminated, and you had a lot of former federal employees in the workforce, when we'd have openings for positions, we would have dozens and dozens of applications, and in fact, it helped with our applicant pool. We had a lot of really good applicants for our open positions, and we're able to hire some really good employees through that whole process. So, there's definitely not a lack of folks looking for work, but I think there seems to be a lot of folks just not even, leaving their current position, so we just haven't seen the turnover.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think state government's a great career, and so I'm glad to hear that,
Absolutely.
things really are looking, pretty good
Absolutely.
overall, and statewide too, so
Yep.
I think that's great.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Lindsay, go ahead.
do you have some that work remotely in today's world?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Lindsay, good question. We do. A rather large percentage of our employees either work fully remote or they work hybrid, where they're in the office a couple of days and remote other days. It's something that quite frankly, a lot of employees nowadays expect to be able to have that flexibility if the nature of their job allows it. Of course, not all positions are appropriate for remote work, right? I mean, we need people in the office to meet with customers and things like that. But to the extent that it can be done remotely, we have been flexible with our folks since kind of COVID and post-COVID, and yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that folks see as a benefit, and it's another thing that we can do for our employees that kind of sets us apart from other employers. I know that in the private sector in particular, there's been a big push to return to the office and bringing people back in. We haven't really done that, at least at the Department of Revenue. I don't know about other state agencies, but we're still trying to be flexible with folks, and if it makes sense for them to work remote, and of course if they're still performing, right, I mean, they need to still be productive. We're going to allow for those arrangements because I think it's good for our folks, and it's something that I think we all realized in a hurry during kind of the COVID times that what we thought was maybe not necessarily something that we could do as an organization. Well, we actually can function that way. So it really opened our eyes to being able to provide that flexibility for our staff.
All right, thank you. Are there any further questions by any of the commissioners? All right, well, thank you again, Mr. Secretary, and we'll proceed here. All right, so the next item on the agenda is the Executive Director comments, and we've got Executive Director Norm Lingle. Welcome, Norm.
All right, good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the commission. I too want to welcome you to Pierre on a nice windy day. It was a great day yesterday, and I guess that's springtime in South Dakota on there. So, showing the good South Dakota work ethic that we have. We just put our head down and get the work done on there. So, I just want to kind of update folks on some of the things that we've been doing since our last commission meeting. As the Secretary talked about, the legislative session requires a lot of work, but there's still things that we need to continue to do to keep moving the lottery forward. My first comment that I want to talk about is also welcoming Commissioner Lindsay to the South Dakota Lottery Commission, and certainly appreciate your willingness to serve. And just as a little background, Commissioner Lindsay is a retired educator, having taught at Madison High School. I think he had the privilege of teaching my wife and two of my brother-in-laws as well at Madison High. So hopefully they were good students for you back then, Commissioner. Currently, the commissioner serves as the mayor of Madison, and so I think we're in a unique position where we actually have two mayors serving on the Lottery Commission. Which is good, I think, from understanding public meetings and how all that needs to occur. But and Secretary Hoddeshell touched on this. I mean, it's a challenge to find people willing to serve on these commissions. You're not going to get rich, but it's a public service, and believing in that public service and willing to put forward your time to do it certainly is appreciated. And so we look forward to working with you, Commissioner Lindsay, as we push forward with various lottery initiatives. A couple items I want to talk about from the 2026 legislative session. Commissioner appointments, both Commissioner Huizenga and Commissioner Lindsay appointments were up in front of the commissions, are up in front of the legislature. The Lottery Commission is somewhat unique in that you need to be confirmed by the Senate to serve on this committee, and so we were happy to represent Commissioner Huizenga and Commissioner Lindsay in front of the Senate Commerce Committee. Came out of there with a unanimous vote, went to the Senate, and was unanimously approved to serve on the Lottery Commission. House Bill 1201, which was an act to authorize the use of bingo cards, the use of bingo games, lotteries, and pull tab devices by booster clubs. So we followed this bill, and so if you're familiar with pull tabs are a legal product in South Dakota, and there's a certain group, charitable organizations such as your Legions, VFWs, those types of things, and along with a few other entities are eligible to offer pull tabs. And so what 1201 did is it also looped in booster clubs as part of that. And as we reviewed that particular bill, we noticed there were some things in there that needed to be tweaked, and so we worked with the bill sponsor to kind of put some guardrails around pull tab devices, all right? And what we worked with and which eventually was passed by both the House and the Senate and signed by the governor were that these types of entities were limited to placing only one pull tab device within an eligible establishment, and then that establishment has to have a license to sell liquor, malt beverage, wine, or cider. And then that entity cannot place more than two total. So you could place one in this establishment and one in another establishment, and that is the limits that they could place for those particular pull tab devices. And so, we'll continue to kind of follow this and monitor this, and there really isn't an entity that's responsible for regulating that particular area, and so it'll be interesting to see how that progresses as we move forward. Another bill that I want to mention is Senate Bill 226. That was a bill to increase a limit on video lottery gaming and to deposit money into a new fund. Okay, so really what the crux of this bill was attempting to do was to increase the max bet on a video lottery terminal from $2 to $5. It would cap the amount going to the general fund from video lottery at $175 million. That amount would increase by 3% yearly. And then any amount over that would go into a new fund that they were looking to create through this bill called the Residential Tax Reduction Fund. All right. Ultimately, that bill went in front of the Senate Commerce Committee, and that bill was defeated in committee. There was also some other bills that were pertaining to open meetings that we monitored, but as we looked at those, we comply with those tweaks. Quite frankly, in my opinion, those bills were to address a specific entity that may not have been following the open meeting laws as they should. With the good help of Nick and Ally, we're towing the line pretty good on that, and so we really don't see any effects from those open meeting bills. I want to talk a little bit about FY26 draw sales. I think you always hear us talk about how Jackpot sells tickets, okay? And at the December meeting, I provided some metrics as it related to a Powerball jackpot run that we had that was won in September. At the end of December, we actually had another Powerball jackpot run that exceeded $1 billion. That ticket, winning ticket, was sold in Arkansas on Christmas Eve. So somebody in Arkansas had a great Christmas with that. It was a single ticket. But my point being is that, as I mentioned, Jackpot sells tickets. Okay, so at the end of February, our draw game sales for fiscal year 27, okay, so we have 4 months basically yet to go, but at the end of February, our fiscal year 27 draw sales had already exceeded fiscal year 26. All right, so in fiscal year 26, our total draw game sales were $25.1 million. At the end of February, our draw sales were $26.3 million. So you see the effects of those big jackpots as part of that. And I'm just giving you the high level. Later on in the meeting from David, you're going to, and even Nathan, you're going to see more of the details as it relates to our draw game sales and sales overall. Want to talk a little bit about internal controls, okay? Internal controls, there's been a lot of a big push and emphasis on internal controls. And so starting in January, the lottery began working with the Department of Revenue's internal control officer. And it was a good project, and we just wrapped up that project, but it caused us to think about the controls that we have in place, the controls that we may not have in place. Do we need to tweak and beef up current controls? And so as we looked at that and worked through that process, like I said, it really caused us to look at it and kind of weigh the risks of the various controls and what we need to do to implement those. And so, good project. We had weekly meetings to go through and review those, and I think we're in a good place. All right, and so the last thing I want to mention, and this is something that I'm really excited about, is Powerball X's and O's, all right? So Powerball X's and O's. This is a new multi-state draw game that that's currently being developed, and it leverages two iconic brands, okay? You see the NFL insignia down there, and you see Powerball. So it's going to leverage, the brand marks of the NFL and Powerball. And so how did we get to this point? There was a lot of research that was being done regarding Powerball, okay, and can we partner with different entities and so forth, and it's as you travel and as you may have talked about things within the U.S., when you talk lotto games, Powerball's the game that probably comes to top of mind. All right, so a lot of research was conducted. a meeting was held with some of the folks from the NFL to talk about partnering on this, because one of the things that we looked at, you go back, I think it was 2024, 48 of the top 50 telecasts were NFL games, all right? And so this is a great opportunity to do this. Partner brands drive increased fan consideration. One of the things that we looked at, too, is that, going back to my earlier comment about jackpot sells tickets, is jackpot fatigue, okay? So you look at, historically, over time, with each new billion-dollar jackpot, to create that excitement, it takes a higher and higher level all the time in order to get people excited about this type of game. And so here was an opportunity where we can leverage these two iconic brands. It's a national statement, and through the research too, we found that the NFL fans are interested in an NFL branded lottery game. So hence, Powerball X's and O. So what's this game going to look like? It's going to be a $5 game. It's going to have a rolling jackpot that starts at $1 million. It's going to draw once a week, draw on Sundays, so we can hopefully capitalize on NFL games on Sunday. And it's going to run 52 weeks a year. I think the iconic thing, or the main difference with this particular game, instead of it being a draw game where you choose numbers, we're going to use team logos, okay? And so if you're I'm a Miami Dolphin fan, so I may pick the Miami Dolphins along with, what other teams out there to have on my particular ticket. And so it's going to provide that unique play opportunity. The other exciting thing with this, too, is that it's going to have a second chance drawing component. All right, so it's going to accept both winning and non-winning tickets into a second chance opportunity. And through this partnership, we're going to get a lot of NFL type second chance products, whether it be a gift card to NFL.com to buy a jersey or something along those lines, all the way up to potentially tickets to a Super Bowl. They've even talked about potentially, if you've ever watched the NFL draft, at times there's fans that come up and make a draft pick announcement. That might be an opportunity that comes from second chance piece of it too. So I'm really excited about the potential for this particular game. Sales are looking to tentatively begin on Tuesday, September 8th, which coincides with the start of the regular season. The first drawing would be on September 13th. At the June meeting, we will be bringing forward some tweaks to the administrative rules process to ask the commission to approve the rules to allow us to offer this game starting in September. And so, like I said, excited about this game. I think this partnership is going to be a great one, and really looking forward to seeing how this game performs. And so with that, Mr. Chair and members of the commission, that concludes my remarks, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
All right, thank you. Are there questions or comments by any of the commissioners? Commissioner Huizenga.
Thank you, Chair Harding. Director Lingle, you touched base on one lottery bill that ultimately failed. Was that was not originated by us, or was it?
Good question. That was originated by the industry, and we were neutral on that bill, and so we were just monitoring it. But yeah, that came from the industry.
Okay. And then I guess just you more or less answered the question, but sometimes at the end of a legislative session, we didn't go backwards on anything. I mean, sometimes there's attempts to maybe curtail or, change how we do things here, but at the end of the session, came out of it in pretty good shape.
Yeah. Yeah, no, thank you for the question, but no, we did not go backwards. I think, to your point, there's been times to, eliminate video lottery or lessen the dependence on video lottery, but, knock on wood, that hasn't happened for a few years here, and so, no, but to specifically answer your question, no, in my opinion, we did not go backwards.
Thank you.
Any further questions by any of the commissioners? I have a quick question on the X's and O's. Is that, so as far as marketing goes of those, are they, it's a 5-state area, did you say?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, it's a multi-state game. I believe there currently are 18 or 19 different lotteries looking at offering this game. I believe there's 2 or 3 that may look at a delayed implementation because they have other items going on right now, but it's going to stretch across, from east to west and north to south across the U.S.
Okay, and so, well, they're, in those stadiums then that do offer it, that have stadiums, will that be, some marketing in those stadiums for that? And would they be able to sell tickets at the stadium?
Yeah, that's another great question. So I will tell you during the initial discussions of this is that there are some lotteries where they have these professional teams that have a separate agreement with the professional teams in. That was a lot of discussion as to how will those two, I guess, sponsorships, work together. All right, and so when you look at my understanding, if I recall correctly, I'll use the Minnesota Vikings as an example. Okay, so the Minnesota Lottery may work directly with the Minnesota Vikings on a sponsorship, and this is more at the top NFL level. Okay, now it's up to each individual lottery then what the components are with that particular team sponsorship as to whether they can sell tickets there or have different promotional signage and those types of things.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Okay, any further questions from anyone? All right, well, thank you for your comments then. All right, we'll go ahead and continue then. The next item is the instant ticket shipping, and we've got Deputy Executive Director Clark Hepper. Welcome, Clark.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. Clark Hepper, Deputy Executive Director with the Lottery, and I just want to thank Executive Director Lingo for giving a shout out to my professional team, the Minnesota Vikings. So. Now I got to get back on script. Basically, I'm here to present on 2 different topics. The first topic, I want to give you a brief introduction to something that we've been working on here at the Lottery it's been in the works for probably over a year, but we're initially doing some negotiating and working on that project right now. And after that, I want to give you a brief update on the project that we initiated back early last year and where we're at with that and where we're going and how it's impacted our players and stuff like that. So the project that I want to bring that we plan to bring to you is a new contract for our instant ticket shipping package delivery service. The scope of this agreement, I probably should advance the slides. The scope of this agreement is to actually improve our delivery services at an economical price for our instant tickets and to our retailers. I mean, without those instant ticket deliveries, our sales aren't where they're at, and the inventory at our retailers wouldn't be where it's at. So it's a critical component of our instant ticket sales. Our current contract right now is with UPS. We've been in contract, well, not actually a contract with the Lottery, but we've been piggybacking off a contract that the state government has with UPS for over about 10 years now. And since that time period, we've seen increased costs in our delivery services. We've seen delays in getting our products to our retailers. We look for a next day delivery or at least a 2-day delivery in some parts of our state. And we've seen where, we've had instant ticket products that have made the trip around the U.S. and it's taken months to get back to South Dakota so we can get it to the retailer. So we've seen some issues with that. And one of the most critical items that we've seen since the inception of our agreement with them is that we lost our local point of contact with UPS. And when we need to troubleshoot our shipping issues or what we want to do with those products, we're having a hard time getting in contact with somebody that can help us locally. So it delays our success in getting our products out to our customers. So I want to give you a little bit of background on where we're at with our shipping processes. Currently we ship about 600 packages statewide on a weekly basis, a little over 600 packages. We have roughly 40 instant ticket retailers out there, and so we're shipping products out there on a daily basis, roughly 600 packages a week. We also, on a monthly basis, we have what we call initial distribution shipments, and on a monthly basis, we will introduce new instant tickets to our retailers. So it's either a new one instant ticket game, or it might be 3 or 4 ticket game at a shipping. So it could impact the amount of shipments. It could be anywhere from an additional 600 packages up to 900, 10,000 packages for that process. Our package size consists of either an envelope or a shipping bag with one packet of tickets, it can consist of a paper box, where we can ship out multiple packets out that. And this contract that we currently have, it's a one set price. Basically, if it's a small package or a big package, that's what we're getting charged for. Annually, we're shipping over 30,000 packets out of our Sioux Falls warehouse, and this goes statewide to all our retailers. And last year, during FY25, we spent over $430,000 in shipping those products to our retailers. So it's a quite substantial expense for us. So what we're looking at is entering into an agreement with Speedy Delivery, getting a new contract. Speedy offers services to the Minnesota Lottery, the Wisconsin Lottery, Iowa, Nebraska, so they're well versed at offering those delivery services for lotteries, and I think they've been with their core shipping with the Minnesota Lottery has been from day one, so they know the lottery business. One of the advantages of this is they're going to provide us what our expectation is the next day delivery, or at the very least a 2-day delivery. So our products are going to be shipped into our retailers so they can get those products out to our customers so that we can continue to drive our sales. We're going to have that local point of contact. Speedy is already established here in South Dakota. If you're not familiar with them, they have a main hub in Sioux Falls, and they have hubs in Aberdeen, Pierre, and then out in Rapid City. So they have that delivery network in South Dakota. And we're going to see a substantial savings by using them. Currently we pay between $13 to $14 a package, and the price that they're offering us is about $5 a package. So you're going to see a substantial reduction of cost to us, over half that price. So really excited to get this process going. We're still negotiating with them right now on some of the items. Hopefully by the June commission meeting, we'll be bringing this for your guys' approval, so we can continue that process. We're working with Brightstar, our vendor, to do the backside programming to allow us to track those packages with Speedy Delivery like we do with UPS. And through this process, one of the great things is that we'll have 2 delivery options. We won't be getting rid of UPS, but we'll have now 2 delivery options, but the primary delivery service will be with Speedy. So if anything ever happens, like a couple of years ago, UPS was talking about going on strike, and that would have impacted our sales and how we get tickets to our retailers. Now we have two options that Speedy will be able to take over if we run into those types of issues. So stay tuned for that June meeting, and we'll bring that contract for your approval, and hopefully we can continue with that process. The next item I want to talk to you a little
Mr.
bit
Chair.
about is oh, yes.
Yes, we have a question. Go ahead, Commissioner Lindsay.
It was just on the news and that UPS is going to initiate a fuel surcharge. Is this something that's been in your discussion with Speedy?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, go ahead.
Commissioner Lindsay, that is part of the contract, that Speedy will not be initiating any other surcharges other than the negotiated price. So right now, there currently isn't any gas surcharges or any delivery surcharges to this initial contract, so
Very
that's a
good.
bonus for us. Under the current contract, that fuel surcharge will impact us.
Okay, great. And I just comment that, doesn't matter if it's state government or business, watch and keep an eye on those expenses. Really, there can be some money savings. So appreciate you keeping an eye on those. And that's a considerable savings for the state.
Yeah, every dime we save in expenses goes to our transfer, so I think it'll be a good thing for us.
Yeah, you bet. Okay, go
Chairman
ahead.
Harding.
Yes,
Chairman Harding.
yes, Commissioner
This is
Donahue,
Tim.
go
I have
ahead.
a question. I have a question for Clark.
Okay, go
Say,
ahead.
How long is this contract for?
Well, the initial contract,
Was-
Mr. Chair, the initial contract is, we are actually piggybacking off of a cooperative agreement with the state of Minnesota that the state governments are allowed to use that cooperative agreement. And their initial contract is I believe, off the top of my head, and Norm, maybe you can correct me if you remember, I think it's a 3-year contract with 2 1-year extensions. So it's up to 5 years, and then they can renegotiate the pricing at that time. So in all, it'll be at least 5 years for us to operate off this contract.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
All right, moving on to the next topic, I want to give you guys a brief overview of the mobile claims process. As you remember, back last year, February, I think it was February 17th, 2025, we kicked off the mobile application for our customers. And basically what the mobile app does is it allows our consumers or our clients or players basically to use our mobile app to submit electronically claims for prizes that they won, either with an instant ticket or an online or lotto ticket that meets a certain threshold. We've had a year's worth of data to analyze and see where we're at and see how our players are adapting to this tool, and it's what we've seen is pretty encouraging. Now we have 4 ways for our customers to claim prizes. They can claim a prize at retail level. They can come to one of our lottery redemption centers, which are in Sioux Falls, Pierre, and Rapid City, or they can mail in a claim, or they can now do it through the mobile application. So let's talk a little bit about the details of the mobile cashing. Like I said earlier, it's both instant and lotto-style games that can be claimed through this process. It's claims between $101 up to $5,000 that qualify for this. Claims between $1 and $100 are claimed at retail. And anything above $5,001 can either be mailed into our lottery office, or they can come in person and claim at our lottery redemption office in those 3 locations. So there are certain thresholds that they have to meet from the mobile app application, but we're seeing some encouraging numbers that a lot of our mid-tier prizes that we have in our instant tickets and our lotto tickets are being claimed through this process. The payment method is through the mobile app, is through the ACH process. So they make electronic claim. The average time for that payment process is about 4 days. The initial process that they go through when they make an initial claim through the mobile app, it takes a little bit longer because we send that claim through what we call a pre-note process to verify the banking information is correct and that it's going to the right person and it's a valid account. So it takes a little longer, but once that initial application is processed and approved, then any other program or claim will take roughly about 4 days. Those come in electronically, and then we have our redemption clerk in our peer office that processes those claims just as they would do if you were standing in person processing a claim or if you had a mail-in claim. If for some reason that ACH payment fails if it's the bank account information didn't go through or it's inaccurate or if it fails, we would then turn around and cut them a check and mail that to that client, or that customer, I should say. One of the great things about this, if you remember back, there was a bill in the legislature, I want to say maybe 3 or 4 years ago, that we tried to increase our cashing limit at retailer to up to $599. It went through the legislature, approved, but got vetoed by the governor. And one of the issues is that the claim process is one of the ways that the state checks for people who owe arrears to the state, either through child support or tickets or some form of that, and that goes through that process. And that was why Governor Noem had vetoed that bill. So we came through this process, came up with this process to claim it mobily and then actually have it go through that debt set-off process also. So every claim that comes through the mobile process goes through that debt set-off process to go to those winnings will then go to offset any balance that they may owe to the state. So it's a good process. It was a good change. It's a great tool for us to collect those items that are, or those balances that are owed. Through this whole process, players are notified on what step their claim is at. So when they initially submit a mobile claim, they'll get a push notification says that the claim has been received. And then they'll get a push notification that it's going through the pre-note process, or that the ACH process is either failed or is being processed, payment submitted. So they can follow that process knowing when and if when they're going to get their claim. And through this whole process, we can see that we've since January or February of last year, we've processed roughly around 1,300 mobile claims. So now let's check to see who is actually submitting claims. We'll go through some of the demographics. One of the things that we've seen is that every qualified age range has submitted a claim through the mobile app process, with the most uses coming through the 30 to 50-year range. So you can always teach old dog new tricks, basically, with those 50-year-olds using the mobile claim process. So there's hope for some of us. The mobile players are basically making claims in 261 different cities and 23 different states. So as you can see, South Dakota is a big tourist state. We have a lot of transient guests coming through, and they're playing our games, and this makes it a little easier for them to make those claims. So it's encouraging, and our top claims are for cities within the state are Sioux Falls, which we have a claim center, but that convenience of doing it through the mobile app, we're seeing it being used that way. We're seeing a lot of our claims, the mid-tier claims, are being processed through this way. It's not the top prizes, it's all the mid-tier or low, that meet that qualification. So with the large geographical conditions of our state. This is a great tool for our players, up in Buffalo to make a claim, or Mobridge, where they don't, have to go an hour and a half to come to a claim center. They can do it mobily now, so. We're seeing where prizes being claimed all the way from $125 all the way up to that maximum level of $5,000. So it's really encouraging to see that we're able to process a claim and make that payment all the way up to that $5,000 level. And that process, working with Brightstar, that process is working just perfect for us. The average claim is $317. And we're seeing the majority of our claims are coming through the instant tickets. And we see a lot of sales, a lot of our mid-tier prizes, as I had mentioned earlier. A lot of our are being used through this process, and this $50, $150, and $250 ticket that you're seeing on the screen and our $30 ticket are the top prize, are the top tickets that are being, claims are being used for this. And the $10 ticket, that $50, $150, and $250, the prize structure was really structured for the main purpose of using it through the mobile claims. So we're seeing that ticket has really seen a lot of success being used through that mobile claims process. So as you can see, the mobile app usage continues to grow, and it has enhanced our players' customer service experience by making claims process easier for the mid-tier prizes, and it reduces that out-of-town players' travel expenses for those prizes. This also is done without impacting our retailers, partners, by keeping the claims of $100 and less at the retailer, so they can see that the benefit of that player claiming it and that churn where they may buy products at that local retailer, plus the commissions that our local retailers get off of those claims that are cashed out at retail level. So it's a win-win for not only our players, our retail partners, and also the state of South Dakota. So with that, Mr. Chair and members of the commission, I conclude my presentation, and we'll stand by for any questions.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions by any of the commissioners? Commissioner Lindsay, go ahead.
So with the mobile app, then where the ticket was sold and that seller doesn't receive if they cash it through the mobile app?
That's a good question, Mr. Chair. I don't believe they do.
So, to answer that question, so the commission for instant ticket, okay, is 1% for prizes cashed at $100 and less. So there's no impact there. All right. The other commission that they receive is 1% for selling a ticket with a prize over $100, and that does not, mobile caching does not impact that, because we're tracking that. The system tracks that, and on their billing statement, they will get credit for selling that ticket. So it's really a no impact process.
Thank you.
All right. Any further questions by any of the commissioners? All right. Well, thank you, Clark. So next on the agenda is the video lottery report by Director of Video Lottery and Security, Trevor Wiebe. Welcome, Trevor.
Welcome, Mr. Chair and members of the commission. Trevor Wiebe, Director of Security and Video Lottery. Just a few slides today to talk about a couple of metrics of our video lottery establishments and the terminals within those establishments. And then at, excuse me, at the end of my discussion, I've got just a couple of notable events that are upcoming to inform you about. So first here, with the number of terminals and establishments as of February 28th of this year, what we've got shown here is back to fiscal year 22 to, in orange there, fiscal year 26. As you can, at first blush, you look at the numbers, you see a slight increase in establishments and terminals. As I looked at the numbers a little deeper, I found something a little interesting. For example, with the establishment, number of establishments, As you can see in fiscal year 2022 in the red there was 1,274 establishments. The next year, that grew by 55 establishments up to 1,329. The following year, it went to another 49 establishments. So within those 2 years, there was 104 establishments growth. Well, when you go to the other side of the numbers there on fiscal year 24 to 25, and then 25 to 26, there was a growth of 18 establishments in 24 to 25, and then a growth of 6 establishments in 25 to 26, which was 24 total. So there was 104 up front and 24 growth on the tail end of this these years here, which I found kind of interesting. That, you know, a couple of years ago there was quite a bit of growth going, and in kind of in discussions, we were coming out of the tail end of the pandemic. And during those pandemic years, the lottery's seen better than normal growth in sales, both in instant and online and video lottery play. So what we feel here is that we see a lot of the owners and operators reinvesting in the industry and their establishments. And as some of that has kind of maybe tailored off a little bit, it's tampered down on some of the growth year to year, but yet still growth. So that's still good to see. And the same thing with the number of terminals in fiscal year 22 in the red. And you go to the light blue there was 544 new active terminals put in place, put in establishments that first year, and then 584 the next year. So that's 1,128 terminals put into play during those 2 fiscal years. When you go to the tail end, it was 283 in fiscal year 24 to 25, and then 197 from 25 to 26, which was a total of 480. So there again, it shows the same pattern of a lot of growth, you know, more growth up front and a little slower growth towards the tail end, but yet still growth in the right direction. So over the course of these fiscal years, that's 1,608 new active machines put into play over these fiscal years, and 128 total new establishments put into created over these years. So still growth, which is still good. So I found that kind of interesting in when I started looking into those numbers. Next, when we look at terminal counts, the legacy machines versus line machines, now legacy being the older VLC machines, you can see a continued decline as we've expect as the new machines come into are purchased and come into play to replace some of those legacy terminals. From fiscal year 22, there was the 5,423 terminals to the current 7,907. That's a 2,484 increase in number of terminals over these fiscal years, which is a 46% increase in terminals. At the same time, at the legacy machines, 4,067 down to 3,400 is 652 less legacy machines, which is a 16% decrease. So, and it's expected in the industry that as some of the older legacy machines phase out, you're going to replace them with the new machines. So we're going to continue to see this spread as we continue to go.
So do you, looking at and the way it's trending now, do you see there would be a point at some time that the legacy ones would just slowly be filtered out to where they're gone, and it'll just be the line machines?
Good question, Mr. Chair. In discussions, we expect that at some point, but at the same time, we've kind of expected that to occur maybe years ago when the new manufacturers started coming in and saw quicker, but players like the VLCs and the legacy machines. And they keep, when one gets destroyed, they harvest the parts out of it, the salvageable parts, to keep the ones, going. So I think we're expecting to see the 3,400 to maybe 3,200 to 3,000. I mean, we're looking at a few thousand machines for years to come yet. So
Yeah,
it's taking a while for them to phase out.
Some guys like old cars too.
Yeah, right. And it's a good question. When I looked at how many establishments are out there that have just solely legacy machines, there are actually 7 establishments, and more than likely this is small town Polo, for example, in the downtown bar, where there might be two terminals in this a bar, and they're both going to be the older machines, VLC machines. There's 7 establishments across the state that still have the legacy machines in there. Most of them have just 2 or 3 machines, but there is one location that has 6, and that's all they have. They don't have any new machines. They have 6 VLCs, and then on the contrary to that, there are 72 establishments across the state that solely have line machines. They don't have any of the VLC machines, so.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Chairman Harding, Commissioner Donahue, I have a question.
Yes, go ahead, Commissioner Donahue.
Trevor, on those numbers that you just displayed in your graph, the 7907 and the 3415, are those all in operation currently, or are some of those down and not in operation?
These are, Mr. Chair? Good question. These are all active terminals, so these are out in establishments in play at the current moment.
Okay, sounds good. I was just curious about that. Thanks.
Okay, go ahead, Trevor.
Thank you. So as we move and kind of dive into each net machine income per terminal per day, so we're really kind of narrowing what does each terminal out there bring in. And in fiscal year 22, as you saw for the line in the red line, or the line machines, bringing in an average of $115 per terminal. At today's rate, it's with the increase in line machines over the years, it's at $93.50. And that is only a 30-cent decrease from last year, where it was $93.80. There again, it's a smaller decrease than when you go back to fiscal year 22 to 23, where it was $115 down to $106. That's a $9.85 decrease over that year's time frame. But at that time, we saw more machines flood into the into play at the same time, therefore bringing down the individual income. Director of Sales, Mr. Dahl, will talk about the overall sales of Video Lottery in his slides. It's still an overall increase in sales, even though it shows a decrease by individual machine. Overall, in totality, it's an increase in Video Lottery sales, like 2 to 3% year over year. So sales are still in good there. And same with Legacy, just as they phase out, a slight decrease per terminal. And the last slide with metrics here, and this is a good slide to show as far as the number of machines purchased in fiscal 22. You can see the number of machines. These are total machines. These aren't necessarily active. These were purchased, and some may still be in storage or prep for a new establishment coming. But there you can see there was 930 terminals purchased in fiscal year 22 versus 366 destroyed. And then you can see year over year just kind of a slight lowering of new purchases as we've kind of moved away from those good years where there was reinvestments into the industry and stuff. So in fiscal year 26 or year to date, 244 new terminals purchased and 63 destroyed.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, go ahead, Commissioner Lindsay.
Yeah, Mr. Chair. When you say destroyed, do you mean retired or you mean physically destroyed?
Great, Mr.
Yes,
Chair.
go
Great
ahead.
question, Commissioner. Physically destroyed. The permits and serial numbers are removed from the cabinets, and an inspector from the Department of Public Safety who does our inspections, they have to observe the destruction of that cabinet. Now, as I mentioned earlier, they can take some of the internal hardware out of there that's still functioning and use it in other cabinets that like for the VLCs, they can take some of the internal stuff out and use it in another cabinet to extend the life of another cabinet. But the physical cabinet itself is destroyed.
Very good, thank you.
Yep. And last, just a few notable events. As I just mentioned, the Department of Public Safety does establishment and terminal inspections for us. We contract with them. So and of course they're doing health inspections in restaurants and those types of things. And they also do lottery inspections, believe it or not. So they're multifaceted. So they're out there every day doing these things. They have an annual meeting each year to get together, and that's coming up on May 6th. And on the day they talk about, do a training or have discussions on video lottery, we have staff there, and we do our presentations on the requirements of some things to ensure they're meeting the requirements. If they have any questions, concerns, what they're seeing in the field, they certainly, if they're not already relaying those concerns to us while they're doing those inspections, this is a good time for us to communicate and have those discussions. And then, as Commissioner Lindsay just mentioned, we go through the destruction process to ensure that process is being followed and it's understood on how that's being done, and it's we're getting the paperwork and the tags into our office as required, and that we'll do that here in May. But we also just had a training with Department of Public Safety and some operators in Sioux Falls just a few weeks ago, where we went through the destruction process, so everybody was on the same page and understanding, because you get new inspectors, new operators, new technicians, and stuff. So we want to make sure everybody's understands what the requirements are. So, and we just did that a few weeks ago in Sioux Falls, and we'll be doing that again here in May. So it's a good time for us to meet with safety on that. The next thing I have here, number 2, system failovers. And this is for our Instant Online and our video lottery. We have 2 different systems that operate Instant Online. We have an Aurora Navigator system for our Instant and Online purchases, and then we have a Connexus system that operates video lottery. So our Instant and Online, at the first of the year, we already had a system failover, and really what those are, the purpose of those are to ensure that your backup system is running. We'd hate to have an event and say, oh, we've got to go to our backup, and then you go to it and wait, oh, it's not hooked up, or we don't have the right firmware, software, we don't have a server, it's not working. Well, we don't want to run into that issue. We need to be running every day and have no downtime. And so we do it twice a year for the systems. And our first one for the Instant Online was done in January, as shown there, and our next one will be in the fall. So we normally do one in the spring, one in the fall. And our video lottery Connexus failover was actually planned here in March. As they were preparing for the failover and looking at the backup system, they came across a circuit board that they wanted to replace. We could have still completed the failover, but we put the failover on halt so they could get a new circuit board, get that running, and that stuff is probably occurring this week as far as the replacement of that circuit board and everything. So we're expecting maybe here in April, I'm assuming, for our failover on our video lottery system. And we generally operate off of those systems for a week, on our backup system for a full week, just to make sure everything's running on each of the, since with our Instant and Online, there's different games played each night of the week, so we want to make sure everything works each night of the week, since there's different events on each night. So. And then lastly, I want to talk about securities. So when a a new person wants to come into our office and say, I want to own some video lottery terminals. Okay, so you're going to be licensed as a licensed operator. Well, then, if you're going to be a licensed operator and own terminals, we require a security. You provide a security for the number of, based off of the number of machines and, that you're going to have, and those securities are due every year in July 1st, and this by administrative rule 48-205-04 subsection 18 provides guidance on when they're due and how to calculate the security. And so, as noted, it's due annually, July 1st, and since we're coming up to that July 1st, our accounting division sends out a letter. It'll be going out in April to prepare them, and it's due by July 1st. So it gives them a couple of months to supply securities, and securities can come in the form of a security bond, cash, certificate of deposit that lists the lottery endorsed as the payee, and then or a irrevocable letter of credit. And that's, we have that, there's a form on our website that operators could use. It's a form letter, and basically take it to a bank and say, I've got this line of credit. Lottery, you can take my money if I fail to meet my financial obligations. So, and to get the security is based off of, we calculate the estimated, the administrative rule gives us the direction on how to calculate the securities, and the rule states the amount of the security is equal to 1/18 of the state's share of estimated annual net machine income derived from the operator's video lottery machines. And so when we look at estimated annual net income over a 12-month period, we look at January 1st to March 31st, a 3-month time frame, and look at the average net machine income for that 3-month period, and then times that times 12 to get your estimated annual net machine income. And then the state share would be about, is half of that, and then you take an 18th off of that to get an estimated annual to meet that formula. It's, who knew there was so much math involved in lottery? So to get a security, right? There's a formula. So that we didn't just go, but it is based on the administrative rule provided there, which there again, and operators are really good about getting those in, and our accounting division monitors and tracks those securities. We hold on to the cash. We have a safe, but most of them come in as the letter of credit from the bank and stuff. With that, I'll stand by for any questions.
All right, thank you, Trevor. Are there any questions? Yes, Commissioner Huizinga.
Thank you, Chair Harding. I'm going to go back to the establishments and the terminals, particularly the establishments. You're continually working with different people. There might be a restaurant bar closed down in this town and opening up and closing, and that's a statewide number that you gave. And so you could have establishment opening and closing throughout the state year round. I mean, is that fair to say?
Sure.
Yes.
Very fair to say, and seasonal. There'll be maybe summer lodges on a lake or something that might close down in the wintertime, and so their machines they'll be made inactive or disabled, and then come around this time of year we're turning them back up and turning them back on. But there's always movement throughout, and then currently they're on our list of tracking of going through the licensing process. There's like 20 establishments that are out there pending going through the background, whether they're at the background process or they're working on their sales tax or their alcohol license. They're in the process anyways, and it's always moving, yes.
Okay, well, it's certainly not a static number or a static group of people. I mean, it's like a school system. You might start the year with 200 kids and end with 205, but it's not that you just moved 5 kids in. There might be 20-some kids come and go during the course of a school year. So, and that's kind of what we've got going on here. But the trend is still gradually up. The net establishment number continues to go up slightly, but certainly not at the pace of the the COVID period.
Right. Right.
All right, further question? Yes,
Mr. Chair?
Commissioner Lindsay.
Do you have any data of available businesses that have not, been involved in either of the scratch tickets or the video lottery? So are there a number of businesses that are out there that are potential, that have not, been part of the system yet? Do you know?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Mr. Chair. Absolutely. We have, off the top of my head, 1,400 establishments, video lottery establishments. So obviously there's a lot of other, bars or restaurants, many more than that have alcohol licenses, that have not had video lottery or have had it in the past and decided to get out of that business, or have changed ownership and maybe haven't gotten back into the video lottery business yet, but had it at one time and haven't gotten into it. It's all, as Commissioner Heisinger mentioned, it's always a kind of a moving target, but there's several establishments or businesses out there that have not gotten the video lottery.
All right, any further questions by any of the
Sure.
commissioners?
Chairman Harding, Commissioner Donahue, I have one for Trevor.
Okay, go
Trevor,
ahead,
you gave
Commissioner
us-
Donahue.
Okay, thank you. Trevor, you gave us the video lottery machine terminals that are in operation. Do you know how many are licensed to be used currently?
I don't, good question, Mr. Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
I don't have the number of how many, on my chart anyways, with me, or in the top of mind anyways, of the number of terminals that are licensed that are just not in place, that might be in storage, awaiting to be placed. I do show that if I go back to the number of terminals is 11,322 active, and we have 1,400 establishments. So that 1,400 establishments means, because we can have 10 terminals per establishment, we could have up to 14,000 terminals if every establishment was at capacity of 10 machines. So there's room for roughly 3,000 terminals to be activated. Those might be in storage, or more likely are in storage. They're just not being placed because they don't see the play. Maybe at some of those, maybe at smaller establishments, they don't see the traffic, so they're not gonna. These terminals they're expensive pieces of machines, and they want to put them in where there's a lot of traffic and stuff. But I'm sorry, I don't have maybe a better answer, but maybe Director Lingle has a point.
Yeah.
That's a good answer. It's a very good answer. But is there any push to, for those 3,000 machines that are licensed, to maybe move those around, to different operators that, have a need, or have a business that, is, very profitable and good for the state, to maybe use some of those machines elsewhere? Maybe that's Norm, a question for Norm.
Yeah, good question, Commissioner Donahue. So the operators own those individual machines, okay? And so I'm going to ask Shauna a question, okay? She's probably thinking I came to the Lottery Commission and never get put on the spot. But one of the things that I wanted to point out is that Trevor talked about the security aspect of it, and that's of the many hats that Shauna wears. That's one of the tasks that she has is figuring out that security that needs to be sent out to and requested from the operators. And so, Shauna, I'm going to put you on the spot here, okay? Do you know the total number of licensed VLTs, because even if it's in the shop, we charge that a license fee, and that goes into the operator's license fee. And so, do you recall, Shauna, I don't believe we're up to the 14,000 level. I think it's something less than that.
No, now I'm going to put Nathan on the spot. Is that the 11,322?
That's how many we have.
Does that include? It does not.
It does not include the ones in
I'm
store.
sorry. I do
Okay.
not know that
Yeah,
right now.
so we can get you that information, and we'll get that sent out to the commission. But I think I can say with some form of certainty that not all 14,000, we don't have 14,000 total VLTs. It's a number less than that. It's owned by the individual operators. They make the decision, Commissioner Donahue, as to where to place those machines. And so there is really no, I guess, no need to swap machines around or make machines available for other operators to put to use, if that makes sense to you.
It does make sense, but it does seem like we have quite a few machines that are licensed to be in use and, just aren't being used. So I just thought I'd point that out.
Yeah, no, that's the potential, okay? That's the potential. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're not being used. I think it also, to Trevor's comment earlier, is not all establishments are at the 10 maximum. These operators are making the decision that's best for their particular place that they're servicing. And if they only need 3 VLTs, they're not going to put in additional ones if they're not going to generate the revenue that they need to sustain that business.
So I have a follow-up question to that, Norm. Would we then, in the future, maybe just license them for the amount of machines they have online being used?
Well, I think we'd have to look at, because this license fee actually goes to pay for the lottery operations.
Okay.
And so we'd have to look at the impact of that. I would say at this point, it would be doubtful that we would ever charge for just the active machines.
Yeah. Okay. I was just kind of wondering about that. I saw, quite a discrepancy between how many machines are active and how many are licensed. So I just thought I'd bring that up.
Yeah, no, good questions, good
And
discussion.
I appreciate your answers. Thank you.
All right, any further questions by any of the commissioners? All right, well, thank you, Trevor. Next up on the agenda is the sales report and Sales Director David Dahl. Welcome, David.
Good morning, Chair and members of the Commission. Looking at instant sales, comparing the last 3 years, as of February 28th, sales are down slightly at 1.9% under fiscal year 25, with sales at $31.37 million. Next, we're looking at a couple of tickets we're going to be launching here soon. This one is our new $30 ticket called Moneymaker that we're going to be launching on Monday. This ticket not only has several large top prizes, but if you notice the call-outs, it's loaded with prizes from $100 to $15,000. Our next game is the South Dakota Hidden Gems game. This ticket will launch May 4th. A lot went into making this ticket. How this ticket actually came about is we noticed that other states were producing their own state-specific themed tickets. So we came up with this one. This game was designed with the help of Lawrence and Schiller, who actually did the artwork for all 3 scenes, which turned out really nice. These 3 scenes are depicting the world's largest pheasant in Huron, the Hugh Glass sculpture in Lemon, and Devil's Gulch in Garrettson. And this also has second chance drawings, which include like a weekend getaway in Spearfish and a shopping weekend in Sioux Falls. And also some gift cards, that we could use or they could use at local merchants. We've already started handing out voids to the retailers already, and they seem pretty excited to get this ticket going. So, next is game planning. Coming up in May, we have a game planning session which we get together with our ticket manufacturer, Scientific Games, in Lawrence and Schiller, and we'll meet. But a lot goes into these planning sessions, but before we even meet, we actually talk with Brightstar, our vendors, Brightstar and Scientific Games, and we talk about the latest trends that they're seeing nationwide, what kind of tickets other states are developing, what they're doing to improve sales in their states. So after the discussions, Brightstar and Scientific Games will make recommendations. For example, higher payouts and different price structures. A good example is that new $30 ticket that we're launching this Monday. It has the big top prizes, but we have a lot of mid-tier prizes, $100 and more, which will give the player, more winning experiences. So, and then also during this session in May, we will be choosing tickets for the fiscal year
Dahl, I think we have a
27 ticket
question.
launch.
Can you get your
Yep. Oh, I'm
slides
sorry,
up to
yep.
speed, please?
Oh, there we go. There we go. There's the 30, sorry, yes. And there's the hidden gems. I apologize, this is a $5 ticket, so. Now on to Lotto sales. As of February 28th, Lotto sales are up 50% over the same time last year, with sales at $26.3 million. This next game, Millionaire for Life, we launched on February 22nd, featuring a top prize of $1 million a year for life and a second prize of $100,000 a year for life. This game actually replaced the Lucky for Life game. And so far, after 3 weeks since the launch, we have an increase of over 37% in sales compared to the Lucky for Life game. A couple takeaways for this game so far is it skews male and trends towards the 25 to 34 year age demographic. And to help promote this game, we've utilized paid media support, radio, billboards, social media, paid advertising. And this video I'm going to be showing here shortly is a television spot from the Idaho Lottery that they made available to other lotteries for a fee. So I'm going to play it for you now.
With the new Millionaire for Life daily draw game from the South Dakota Lottery, you could win $1 million a year for life. So you could do whatever makes you happy. Like bring a hot dog cannon to a wedding reception. But just because you could, doesn't mean you should.
Okay, I admit I just seen this run a couple days ago, so I thought it was pretty good, so. To support this launch even further, in April, we're going to run a Millionaire for Life promotion called Millionaire Plus. On Mondays in April, players can purchase a Millionaire for Life Quick Pick and receive a Dakota Cash Quick Pick for the next 2 draws. We do this promotion. We've had success with these kind of promotions when we introduce a new lotto game. It's done well in the past, and we're looking, forward to it working or having success in this one. And when we have a promotion like this, I'll just give you an example. We'll take takes collaboration from my team, sales team, and Wade's team, and we literally get in a room and discuss what can we do, what makes sense, what's cost effective, and we listen to all the ideas. And for instance, this Millionaire Plus, the title of this promotion came up by Whitney, which I thought was pretty good. But I just want to explain, some of the collaboration we do. It's not just one person doing everything. I mean, this is a group that came up with this promotion, probably 5 or 6 people. So on to projections. As of February 28th, we're projecting Instant at $5.57 million in net transfers, and Lotto $9.54 million in net transfers versus fiscal year 25, in which Instants were at $6 million and Lotto was at $7.5 million. So combined for fiscal year 26, this is $15.11 million versus $13.58 million in fiscal year 25. Now, looking at video lottery, comparing the last 3 years, video lottery net machine income is projecting to have a 2.78% increase over fiscal year 25. Now, as of February 28th, video lottery fiscal year 26 state share revenue is projected to be at $169.46 million versus $165.05 million in fiscal year 25. So looking at the total fiscal year revenue projections with the combination of video lottery, instant, and lotto sales, as of February 28th, the total combined revenue projections is $184.57 million versus $178.63 million in fiscal year 25. And that concludes my presentations. I will stand by for any questions.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions from any of the commissioners? Yes, Commissioner Huizinga.
Thank you, Chair Harding. Well, thank you for the presentation. This transfer, and I've brought attention to it in previous meetings, but that's a lot of money. I mean, that is a tremendous amount of money, especially, of course, I see things somewhat through the lens of being from here, but when state employees were looking at no raise and end up with, a little over 1% raise and school funding and all that, this would be a lot of money to replace we would have to do without. I mean, this is a big number. It continually just gradually goes up just a little bit every year. And it's and that is the transfers, as a lottery organization, all of our bills are paid out of the employees and everything. So that's truly goes to the state to operate their deal. I mean, we are paying our own freight here at the lottery.
Absolutely.
So that I just want to bring that attention that 10 million here and 10 million there, pretty soon you're talking real money.
Yes, and that goes back to, if I may make this point, is when we have these game planning sessions, we take that to heart. We don't want to, everything we do is with intention, because we're thinking, hey, this is what can we do to make money for, the state of South Dakota. It's just well-intentioned. It all has a purpose, so we take it very seriously.
And we do operate with a pretty small staff here. And the real credit goes to our vendors out the operators out in the field. Those are the people that are really at the restaurants, at the bar, taking care of this, at the convenience stores, selling the tickets and all that. I mean, they're the ones who are really doing the work on this deal. So this is a huge win for the state of South Dakota. So,
Absolutely.
thank you.
All right, further questions by the commissioners? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, before we go to sales statistics, Executive Director Lingle has a answer for Commissioner Donahue's question here. So Norm, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. So I guess one of the good things with technology and people listening to the meetings is that they can research the answer to questions and shoot it to you. So Commissioner Donahue, to your question, we have roughly 12,500 VLTs currently licensed. And so looking at the numbers from Trevor's chart, 11,322 active VLTs. There's about 1,200 VLTs that are in the operator's warehouse right now that aren't being that aren't placed in a location.
Commissioner Donahue, does that answer your question?
Yeah, that answers the question. And, Norm, I guess I would wonder, are those 1,200, are they in for service, or are they just being sidelined because the licensed operator feels like they can't, put them in service because of, not enough revenues? Is that kind of the situation we have?
I would say it's a combination of all the above, all right? That they're going to have something in inventory in case a machine goes bad. They have a replacement for it that they can roll out into the field. If a new establishment wants to get licensed, they're going to have some machines in inventory that they can place in a fairly quick method. There's maybe some that for some reason or another need to be worked on. So it's a combination of all the above.
Okay. Yeah, my question really just came out of, trying to increase video lottery revenue, because it's such a big part of state revenues now that, the licensed machines, should be, up and operating if at all possible. That's kind of where I was coming from.
All right, thank you.
So
Then
I
we'll go ahead with
appreciate
sales.
your answer.
We'll go ahead with sales statistics. We got business analyst Nathan Remick. Welcome.
Morning, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. I'm going to start my presentation talking about a question we had from last commission meeting on how many add-ons were purchased for our games. We have 4 add-ons across 3 games. Powerball has 2 add-ons of Power Play and Double Play. Dakota Cash has Easy Match, and Lotto America has the All-Star. Power Play and All-Star are multipliers, and then Easy Match and Double Play are additional play options. Powerball has the highest, considering they have 2 add-ons. 64% of Powerball tickets have add-ons. This could also be they're buying both add-ons at the same time. But it also varies depending on the jackpot level. As you can see, as the jackpot increases, the number of add-ons purchased per ticket goes down until the jackpot gets hit, and then it goes back up. But Powerball has varied so far this fiscal year between 51% and 75% of add-ons purchased. Dakota Cash is the next highest with a 40% average add-ons purchased per ticket. But it also varies a lot, going down as low as the lowest of 21% and as high as 69%. Lotto America is fairly consistent, mostly due to the jackpot growing very slowly on that game. It has an average of 36% add-ons. Varies between 25 and 44. Next, I'll talk about Q3 sales. Starting with Instant, we see a general drop in the lower price points, especially the 1, 2s, and 3s, largely due to players going towards the 5s and 10s. But the 5 and 10s are largely staying the same this quarter. We do see a lot of players going from the $30 to the $20 ticket due to the $20,000 winning or $200,000 winning sevens and the $100 extreme cash that launched recently in the $20 price point. Overall, we're down 0.13%, and largely our sales are returning normal compared to the drops that we saw previously this fiscal year. Looking at the lotto sales by game, we had a $270 Dakota Cash jackpot versus a $200,000 jackpot this quarter compared to last quarter. So we're seeing an increase in Dakota Cash sales. For Mega Millions jackpot last year, we didn't have any this year, but the game change did increase sales a bit generally. But overall, it is a decrease due to that larger jackpot last year. Powerball, we had a $1.7 billion jackpot for Powerball this year, and we didn't have any last year. We get a large increase in sales in that game. Lucky for Life, we're seeing a sales decrease, but that is due to the game ending. And Mega Millions Millionaire for Life launching. Overall, if we combine those two sales, we actually see a sales increase for that game. Lotto America was just hit this year, but was increasing all throughout last year, so that will be negative for every quarter this year. But overall, we are up 39.75% in sales this quarter for Lotto games. For Video Lottery, we're seeing a decrease in legacy and an increase in line, largely due to the decreasing number of legacy machines and the increasing number of line. Although we're seeing a lot less of a decrease in legacy and a lot greater increase in line machines this quarter. Overall, we were up 4.79% for the quarter. Going towards fiscal year 26, we're seeing largely the same trends, although a greater decrease in the lower price points this fiscal year, largely due to the less price points in market for those price points. For the $5, we're seeing a large increase due to Joker's Wild and Crossword X. Especially Joker's Wild specifically has increased the $5 price point sales, as I'll talk to later. And Jurassic Park is doing well in the $10, but it was competing against Cashware Gold and Game of Thrones, which largely increased sales last year for that price point. Cashword Supreme did launch recently, and that has brought it more in line for the $10 price point. For the $20, we are seeing the $100 times extreme cash and the $200,000 winning sevens doing really well for the $20 price point. And then we just have an older 30 this year compared to last fiscal year for the $30 price point. Overall, we're down 1.91% for instant sales. For Lotto sales, again, we had the $270,000 versus $200,000 Dakota Cash jackpot this year compared to last fiscal year. So we're seeing an increase in Dakota Cash. Mega Millions, we had a $1.2 billion jackpot last year compared to a $980 million jackpot this year. So the slightly bigger jackpot is why we're having a decrease in Mega Millions. But the game change overall helps sales. So it's pretty close. We had two big Powerball jackpots this year compared to none last year, which is why we see a huge increase in Powerball sales this year. Lucky for Life is decreasing but that's largely due to the Millionaire for Life sales. If we combine Lucky for Life and Millionaire for Life, we are positive for that. And then Lotto America, we were just hit this fiscal year compared to growing all of last fiscal year. But overall, we're up 50.52%. For Video Lottery, again, we're seeing a large increase in line and a small decrease in legacy, but overall, we're up 2.81%. And I'll end with talking about the different increases and decreases, mostly players switching between price points in the instant games. Overall, it started with the Price is Right ticket in November of 2023. Started players switching from the $5 to the $10 ticket, and they largely stuck with that increase up until July of 24, and then we actually saw the $10 replacing the $5 ticket. In May of 24, we saw Big Money launch, which in the $20 ticket, which took sales from the $30 to the $20 ticket. Game of Thrones really cemented the $10 ticket selling more than the $5 ticket starting in September of 24. The next, we saw the $6,000 cash spectacular largely increase the sales of $30 ticket, and it actually surpassed the $20 tickets for a while. And then the Joker's Wild launched in May of 2025. You can see the increase in sales and the decrease in sales of the $5 and $10 tickets respectively. And largely that ticket is caused the $5 ticket to be selling higher than the $10 ticket up until it was claimed in the third week of January of 2026. Cashword Supreme did launch the first week of January, which is why they are very equal for the first 2 weeks, but then in the third week after Joker's Wild was claimed, the $10 ticket went back to being the primary seller across the state.
Mr. Chair, I'm going to, if you allow me to add some commentary to this. I mean, David talked about, product mix and how we are, really are calculated on when we go to game planning and we pick product out and stuff like this. And I think this chart here really adds some value to, if we don't pick the right one, it can really impact, our sales or, so we really got to be strategic in how we look at our products and what we have out there in the field now in our warehouse, and how we want to continue to have products that appeal to our players. Because our players do, as you can see, they'll gravitate between price points based on the product out there. So I think it's really, this chart here really shows the importance of that product mix that we have out there. So,
Yeah, that's a good point, Clark. So is there a time on these that they're just a flop, so to speak, and just this isn't working, let's do something different here?
Mr. Chair, I'm going to blame Norm on this one. Norm and I, we're big baseball fans, and we thought, this was probably roughly 10 years ago, I'd say. We had picked out a Major League Baseball ticket that we thought was going to go gangbusters, and really didn't appeal. That was the year that the Twins had the All-Star game in Minneapolis, so we thought it would really sell from a second chance draw, and we were going to give away, some tickets to the All-Star game and stuff like that, and it really didn't appeal to our players, so lessons learned.
Yeah, and I think that's just a good point. In anything, any business or marketing, you find out what isn't, those things that just don't work, so let's rethink it and redo it. So that's great. Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
One last comment is that in October of 2024, you do see the 20 and 30 tickets sell about the same. That was largely due to the 100X getting hit at that time. And then shortly after, we launched Platinum Payout, and it brought the 20 back to where it was. And I'll open up to any questions.
All right, thank you, Nathan. Are there further questions from any of the commissioners? All right, well, thank you, Nathan. We'll go ahead and just press on here. Next will be the marketing report with the Director of Advertising and Public Relations, Wade LaRoche. And welcome, Wade.
Hi, welcome. Just want to give a quick update on some of the things that we're focusing on in the advertising and marketing section of the lottery. First and foremost, I'm going to start with some messaging that's always really important for us, and that's responsible gambling. We do year-round efforts in terms of responsible gambling. We have a lot of resources available both on our website. We make players aware of those on all of our products as well. And year-round, we really do a lot of messaging in terms of social media, Players Club emails, everything like that. But with March being Problem Gambling Awareness Month, paid media with responsible gambling messaging has really become a staple of our advertising calendar. So this year is no different. We are reminding players to keep the fun good. This means setting a budget, playing only for fun, and that help is available. Our paid advertising efforts really touch a lot of the mediums that we have on our disposal. We have web ads, we have social media, billboards, television, radio, just a lot of components that we put into this. One other thing I would like to note with this is while we do have those paid media efforts, we are continuing to amplify what we do on social media and within our Players Club. We even go a little further into the weeds with that messaging. We provide players with some warning signs for if they see a loved one who may have a problem, how to reach out to a relative or a loved one who may have a problem, and just further resources if they do have that problem. So again, this is kind of a national effort during the month of March throughout lotteries in North America. One thing I would note is that both NASPL and the National Council on Problem Gambling provide us with a lot of resources so we can, in our own way, kind of be subject matter experts on this. With that being said, I kind of wanted to focus on the paid media today. One couple of exciting things with this is that we have a new television spot with this and a new radio spot. Now, before I get started on the television spot, I just note that this kind of is a playful way of reminding players to know their limits and that too much of a good thing is not always a good thing.
When I say responsible gaming, what comes to mind?
I think about setting a budget for how much you play.
Nice.
Playing only for fun.
Ooh, that is hot.
And asking for help if you need it.
Like, really, really hot.
Are you sweating?
Oh, my tongue is on fire.
You know you can't eat spicy food.
Oh, I overdid it.
You need to drink milk.
I don't have any.
Are we supposed to be able to hear that?
I can't feel my face.
Tony, Jack needs you.
Tony!
So you probably saw some new faces on that, which leads me to introduce you to the Good Fun Squad. So when we were working with Lawrence and Schiller on kind of the direction we wanted to go with our advertising efforts, we kind of landed on the Good Fun Squad, which these three are kind of a new central characters for our advertising. I think we had used the delivery guy in our previous advertisements for roughly 4 or 5 years. So we thought it was time to kind of turn the page on that and introduce some new characters. Now, as you could probably tell from that ad, that kind of takes a playful parody of lottery operations to help raise brand awareness, initiatives like responsible gambling, and market our products as well. This actually began in January with some beneficiary awareness messaging, and I'm going to show you the new TV spot for that as well.
Okay, team.
Good Fun Squad.
No, we are not the Good Fun Squad. We are the South Dakota Lottery Marketing Department.
Good Fun Squad.
Please stop.
I kind of like it. It's cool.
No, what's cool is the South Dakota Lottery provides millions of dollars in funding for schools and roads, and we need to let people know.
Good Fun Squad assemble.
We're already assembled, so.
Oh, I made t-shirts.
What? No, why are there t-shirts? Are these adult sizes?
You look great.
No, we don't.
So this commercial was kind of the centerpiece of our beneficiary awareness messaging that took place January and February. We were really pleased with the results of this as well. When you cycle in television, radio, digital display ads, and billboards, we had nearly 10 million views of these throughout the state. So that was a positive for us. And while I'm getting into the Good Fun Squad, I would just note that there's some additional opportunities for us here. We'll have additional branding opportunities such as point of sale, merchandise, and more. As you can see, we have the 2 logos on this slide. And the t-shirts in the previous ads as well that we could utilize to give to players for kind of some merchandise prizes and things like that. One other thing I would note is that while we had the 3 focused in the TV spot, we've also introduced new characters through radio spots, and we're really excited about the way this brand can evolve over time. And last but not least, while Lawrence and Schiller was producing the television spots, they also focused on vertical-based videos. What I'm talking about with those are YouTube Shorts, Instagram and Facebook Reels, and Snapchat ads as well. We've really seen those perform well in the market for us. We've gotten not only good impressions on that, but high engagement from players as well. So while TV is still kind of our bread and butter, TV and radio are still our bread and butter, there is a place in our advertising medians for these as well. And I'm actually going to give you a sneak peek of one that will air during our winter awareness campaign.
The South Dakota Lottery has new winners every day. I like to plot them on a map to show that winning happens all over the state. We just had a $600,000 scratch ticket winner in Miller, a $2 million Powerball winner in Mobridge, and, oh wow, a $4 million Lotto America winner in Vermilion. Yep, I think we got it covered.
So those were actually real prizes won throughout the state in the last calendar year within that spot. And I did want to take a little bit of time to talk about another kind of notable prize that we had over the summer months as well that actually went unclaimed. So there was a $500,000 Powerball double play prize that went unclaimed. This was a result of the August 27th drawing. It was purchased in Sioux Falls, and the winning player had until February 23rd to claim that prize. Now, while the prize wasn't claimed, I did want to just give you an update on some of the efforts that we made for this. Obviously, we want to make sure that our players are well informed when a prize of this magnitude hasn't been claimed yet. So in the months leading up to that February 23rd deadline, we really amplified communications efforts with that. We sent out multiple press releases, which we were happy to see were picked up by most of the major media outlets within the state, especially in the Sioux Falls area. While I can't give you an exact number of the impressions that those had because those were shared on their platforms, I can tell you that we also used social media, Players Club emails, our website, to really hone in and make players aware of this prize that was out there. These efforts had more than 100,000 total impressions, so we were able to get the word out about this prize. And switching gears, I wanted to talk a little bit about NASCAR Powerball The Chase. Executive Director Lingle kind of talked about how Powerball is really leveraging their brand and then some national brands as well for some good partnerships, and this is no different. NASCAR Powerball The Chase is a little different than years past. You may remember this as the NASCAR Powerball Playoff, but what this does is it gives players the opportunity, and I should backtrack a little bit. The reason this was changed is because NASCAR actually changed the format of how they determine their champion at the end of the year. So Powerball kind of made those adjustments as well. One thing I would note on this is that this is a second chance drawing for our players in which they can enter their non-winning lotto tickets. That's all draw games with that. And those are entered into monthly drawings. The winning players will win a merchandise pack and then be entered into a final South Dakota drawing. That finalist will then be submitted to Powerball, and they will take part in the national promotion with that. Now, the good thing about this, you may remember in years past, we've actually had a lot of success with this this campaign. We had a player a few years ago actually reach the Final Four and be in a drawing for $1 million. Unfortunately, she didn't win, but she still came away with some good prizes with that. And then we had a player make the final 16 as well last year. So this has been effective for us. The best part I think about this change is South Dakota's semifinalist that we determined through our draw is guaranteed to win at least $2,000. And then they'll be in some additional drawings at the national level, and those prizes could only grow. I kind of alluded to it, but the four finalists from around the country will receive a trip to Miami for the final NASCAR race of the season, and then they will get entry into a final drawing for $1 million. This is just a part of the second chance opportunities that we have for our Players Club members. One thing I would note is that we have our VIP only drawing that has most scratch tickets are eligible to enter. And then we also currently have the Jurassic Park second chance drawing going. And that is performing very well as it has 14,702 entries as of yesterday. So. And last but not least, I wanted to talk a little bit about Powerball Jackpot run web metrics. Executive Director Lingle provided a good update in December about the September, the web metrics as a result of the September jackpot run. Well, having said that, we also had a strong one as it was alluded to in December. So I just wanted to give a quick update on that. I just pulled 2 weeks from this for an apples to apples comparison with the September numbers, but we had 160,615 website visits during those 2 weeks. That is actually an increase over the 104,718 that we had during the September jackpot run. One thing I would note with this is that we did have our holiday campaign going, which is typically a large campaign that drives people to our website. But it wasn't all, that increase isn't all due to that holiday campaign, because the winning numbers page views also increased by nearly 7,000 during just this 2 weeks from December 10th to December 25th. We had more than 30,000 views to our winning numbers page on our website. A couple of other things I would just note with this is that we had 53,834 website users during this time frame, which was also an increase from the 49,000 in September. And then we had 16,648 mobile app users. So again, those Powerball jackpot runs are advantageous for us because we get more players visiting our platforms, and while they're on our website, maybe they take a look at our scratch tickets available, take a look at a lot of the different products that we offer. So it just kind of helps with all of our efforts. And with that, I will stand by for any questions.
Mr. Chair. All right, thank you. Yes, Commissioner Rosen, go ahead.
Or comment and question. So those 3 ads are meant to help people figure out if they've got gambling problems? Or are they basically, hey, it's fun to play the lottery. We fund roads, we fund kids, and you can win.
Yep, exactly. Those 3.
Okay.
I would say the beneficiary. Oh, Mr. Chair, I'm sorry. I would say the beneficiary awareness one is more to raise awareness for the good causes that the South Dakota Lottery supports. The winner awareness one is kind of like you alluded to just remind players that there are winners out there and that our products are fun to play. Now, the responsible gambling one is a little bit of a different tone because we want to kind of hit those 3 cornerstones where it's set a budget, play only for fun, and seek help, and that help is available if you need it. So that one kind of has a different tonage, and you'll see it at the end of that one. We actually ended with the end slate that reminded players of those 3 components.
Well, good work is what I'm going to say, because that makes me want to go play the lottery. It all sounds like a lot of fun. But I won't.
Right. Okay, further questions by any of the commissioners? Okay, hearing none, then thank you, Wade, for that update.
Thank you.
All right, then that brings us to, that was the last report for this meeting. And so now is the public comment period. I will now ask if there's any public comment from anyone right here on site in Pierre at our meeting room. Is there anyone here that has any public comments or would like to address the commission? All right, I hear no one, and so is there anyone online that would like to address the commission? Now it would be your opportunity. Anyone online that would like to provide public comment? All right, I hear No one, so I will close the public comment portion. Is there anything, Mr. Lingle, that you'd like to add before we end?
No, just the next meeting date is June 11. Hopefully at that meeting we'll have a shipping contract for consideration, as well as administrative rules to hopefully allow us to participate in the X's and O's game. But other than that, I have nothing further.
Okay, thank you. Anything else by any of the commissioners? All right, then I would
Chairman
entertain.
Harding?
Yes, Commissioner
Chairman
Donahue,
Harding?
go ahead.
Yeah, I do have just one last comment before we leave. I wanted to tell Wade and his team, those are fabulous ads, that are put forth to the public. But I was wondering if in all of our advertising, we should have problem gambling awareness somewhere, and maybe it's already in there. I don't know. Maybe Wade could answer that, or Norm.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you for the question. Yes, in all of our ads, we do have must be 18 years or older. Please play responsibly. That's something that we've kind of ingrained with everything. It's kind of a staple where this is a must-have with that. We also have that on all of our point of sale items, all of our like the rat cards you'll see at retail locations, the play slips all have that verbiage on it as well.
Okay.
Okay, that's really good. Yep. Thank you.
Okay, great. Then at this time, that concludes our meeting for today, so I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Those opposed, the same sign. Hearing none, motion carried. Thank you, and meeting is adjourned.
From children's programs to in-depth documentaries, SDPB sparks curiosity and lifelong learning in every South Dakotan. SDPB, good, useful, and full of wonder. SDPB brings South Dakotans together, telling the stories that unite small towns, big ideas, and the people who make our state shine. Good, useful, and full of wonder. SDPB. SDPB shares the voices and experiences of South Dakotans, preserving our stories, our culture, and our sense of place. SDPB, good, useful, and full of wonder. As South Dakota's public media network, SDPB serves everyone with transparency, integrity, and commitment to open access. Good, useful, and full of wonder. SDPB. SDPB helps shape South Dakota's future by educating, informing, and inspiring the next generation of thinkers, leaders, and creators. SDPB. Good, useful, and full of wonder.